jaw-dropping, heart-breaking. It restores my faith in humanity, honestly, and in men in general. I just finished Red Rising. You will be seeing me read the whole saga in this video, but I did just want to kind of review this really quick. If you don't know, the plot of the Red Rising trilogy is that our main character, Darrow, we start out understanding him as the lowest member of society you can be, which is a red on the planet Mars. Darrow is a miner. He is trying to help create an environment on Mars that is habitable for the rest of humanity. This is kind of a very new and daunting task. We do hear about higher members of society, the Golds, in the first few chapters. This is a spoiler-free vlog, so I'm going to try my best to not give anything away. He learns more and discovers more about what's going on. There is a sort of games that occur that aren't quite as dire as the Hunger Games, but it gets darker the more you read. I actually read this before, I think sometime this summer. I was not in the mood for sci-fi. I think this just goes to show that if you are not in the mood for a book, don't pick it up. This is the kind of book that you really need to pay attention to. From what I've heard and from what I'm guessing, books 2 and beyond are probably a little bit easier to digest because at that point you're already immersed into the world and kind of familiar with the lingo that they're using. There is a heavy amount of random new language that Pierce Brown has made up. This time around, I appreciated that fact. The first time around, it just turned me off and I had a really hard time picturing anything that was going on. First time around, I rated this 2 stars. I didn't feel any attachment to the main character, Darrow. This time around, I feel like I would literally go to battle for Darrow. If he called me to war, I would in fact go. If he asked me to betray my closest friends, I would do that. Now that I actually really paid attention to the writing, I think what Pierce Brown does so beautifully in this book is gives us a real background for our main character. Since he starts so young in the book, we get a real picture of who he was and him kind of having this coming of age story in such a drastic, transformative way. My final rating of Red Rising is now 5 stars. The next clip in this video will be me starting Golden Sun, which is book 2 in this trilogy. It's a few weeks later, but picked this up. We have really high expectations for the next 2 books. Wish me luck. Currently on like Christmas, New Year's break. I'm a teacher, if you don't know, so I have, I think, a little over 2 weeks off. Fingers crossed that we love this and that it lives up to the hype that honestly we've been creating for ourselves. Let's get to it. Halfway through. Here are a few things that I want to talk about. It does take a little bit to get into Pierce Brown's world. When you're first diving into it, after a little while, it can be challenging to try and picture what's going on. But I will say the more you read, the less confusing it gets and the more comfortable you become with kind of analyzing the words and then being able to understand them quicker. I would say it took me about 1 chapter to kind of feel comfortable reading it again. The crack that is in this book. Pierce Brown leaves you on a cliffhanger after every single chapter. Sometimes the chapter cliffhangers are insane and sometimes they're smaller but still a cliffhanger to where you have to flip the next page to figure out what happened. But when you flip to the next page, it does not immediately pick up where the cliffhanger left off. It takes a few sentences to even a few paragraphs to give you the solution or the answer to the cliffhanger that he leaves you on in the previous chapter. Everything is suspenseful. I'm not a sci-fi reader. I do not like sci-fi movies. I generally do not like sci-fi books, but I can sense this becoming a god tier series for me. One of the phrases on the back of the book is Brown writes layered, flawed characters, but plot is his most breathtaking strength. Every action seems to flow into the next. I rest my case. You are always on the edge of your seat, and all of the characters are so unique. In Golden Sun, I do feel like you get a much deeper picture of the side characters. But just know that I'm so invested, I'm so hooked, and I'm loving every second of it. We're gonna keep reading. I have 5 days left, so we're gonna just enjoy our time and read more of Golden Sun. So good. One moment you think that you're at the height of what is happening, there's going to be a calm down moment, and then there's going to be a solution to this chaos, but then it really does lead into the next moment of chaos, and you're just sitting here like, wait, what's going to happen now? Drink of choice today, grapefruit citrus. Oh. This is a read and then stare off into space. This is a god tier, 6 stars. We'll never forget. I could be incorrect, but I feel like this could be the next big franchise on film. I'm not quite sure why that's not happening yet. I need to go and do some research. If any of you guys know, please let me know. This series for me, and I'm not comparing, like this world is completely unique. It feels very new to me. But the best way I could describe it is if Game of Thrones, Dune, and Star Wars had a baby. It has all of the politics and jaw-dropping, heart-breaking, will never forget moments that Game of Thrones has for me. Then you have the sci-fi elements from Star Wars and Dune, the swagger and even the weapons they use give me Dune a little bit, just because I think Dune is really cool and visually so unique and so stunning. From Star Wars, I think you have all of the relationships built, the strong side characters. Pierce Brown is just playing chess, and we are watching. He is so genius with the little Easter eggs you get from book 1. There's an arc you didn't expect, but it was planted in your brain. Like, what Pierce Brown does in the second book with our main character Darrow is so beautifully human. So much beautiful symbolism for Darrow in Golden Sun. Even when it comes to the suits that he wears, even to his weaponry, how that changes over the course of Golden Sun really depicts what Darrow needs to do to dig deep and strip everything down and get back to why he was picked for this journey. I think we get the best of Darrow in this book, because what makes Darrow such a lovable character is that he is fueled by rage, but he's also equally fueled by love, friendship, human emotion. When Darrow breaks down, you witness such an authentic, inspiring level of humanness. It restores my faith in humanity, honestly, and in men in general. Darrow is such a unique main male character because Pierce Brown writes him in such an emotional way that is often hard to find in these really high fantasy, high sci-fi stories. He also reminds me a lot of Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. You see this like suave ability to lead thousands of people, to be so rage-filled at the injustice. Then you also see childlike quality, having the weight of the world on your shoulders and not being able to stand that. It is very emotional, it is very lyrical, it is very beautiful. Just one example of that, Pierce Brown is trying to describe a specific sound that a piece of machinery was making. The way he described it was something along the lines of like, it sounded like a child gasping when pricked by a needle. It's just such a lyrical way of describing something so simple as like a pop. In my opinion, I don't care what kind of reader you are, the series is for you. For my romance readers, it pulls on your heartstrings. It is emotional. There are strong subplots of romance. For fantasy readers, the politics, the world building, the high suspense, the found family. For historical fiction readers, there's discussions of Earth and humans' inability to care for it, and there's such a large element of world building historically that Pierce Brown does really well. Anyone could read this and feel connected to the characters and to the story. Then we started Morning Star. I don't know why I expected anything else, but literally from page 1, I was crying. So good. I can already tell this book will destroy me. I am worried and fearful of what Pierce Brown is going to do in this book. I'm going to keep reading Morning Star, and then we're going to close off this vlog. I don't know if I'm ready to read the next arc. The Red Rising trilogy, Red Rising, Golden Sun, and Morning Star is the first arc for Darrow. Following books, I think there's only 2 out though. Those 3 are like a completely new arc for Darrow. Let's keep reading. I have finished Morning Star. I am flabbergasted. The amount of times in this book my jaw dropped to the floor. I went from full-on crying to laughing out loud. There was so many little plot twists, arcs that I didn't expect to go in certain directions. This book drags you through the absolute mud. I can only imagine what Darrow's next arc will be like. This book in particular is so cinematic. It's just a masterpiece. It really is. I can't say enough about this series. Definitely a new god tier series unlocked for me. I don't think I will ever forget or stop thinking about these characters. 6 stars all around. Darrow is definitely a new favorite character unlocked. He is so quintessentially human in a way that I've never seen depicted before, especially in a male main character, and craves what we all crave the most, which is love and friendship. We are getting Darrow's narration of the story. We're getting his perspective, but the narration isn't reliable for the reader. So a lot of times you'll get inside Darrow's head, but you won't get the full picture of even what he's planning. So you're surprised along with everyone else in the story, which really keeps you on your toes, and then you're just like more awestruck about his abilities and the choices that he makes. Genuinely can't say enough about it. You have to go read this. Like I said earlier, whatever kind of reader you are, you could connect to this story. There's nothing else to say, honestly. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I had a freaking blast filming it and reading this series, and I'm so glad that this video kind of propelled me to just go ahead and finish this arc for Darrow. I will be picking up the next arc, but probably when I know the next book is coming out, because I don't think my soul can handle waiting for that if I dig into that story. This was such a fun time.